Getting back to doing some college football preview videos as we get closer and closer to the summer and ultimately the fall for college football. And today we're looking at, I guess you could call them a premier program right now. Of course you can. It might be annoying to do, but you got to give credit where credit is due and preview a top team in college football right now, the Clemson Tigers from South Carolina. Let's go! Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here with Ballard Sports Media, getting back to doing some schedule previews for the 2021 college football season, and it should be a great season. We got a lot of great games. We're going to have a lot of great teams, some interesting, maybe some first-time playoff teams, which I'll make a video about that a little later on. We might see some repeats or whatever as far as Alabama, Clemson. Oh, yeah. Speaking of Clemson, let's preview Clemson's 2021 football schedule. But before we get into it, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. I really would appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed for more sports content from Ballard Sports Media. And as always, comment down below your predictions for Clemson for the 2021 season. But real quick, before we get into the this year's schedule for Clemson, I want to take a look back at last year, which was very interesting. Obviously, last season, compared to this season, we had a pandemic going on, which I guess we still have the pandemic going on, but everything's shaping up to be great. Everything's looking like we're going to have full stadiums. We're going to have, normal, just a normal season. It won't be conference only. It'll be 12 games. We'll have all the bowl games. Hopefully no opt-outs or anything like that. Everything's looking great. Well, let's look at Clemson, who I guess is a top-tier team in college football. The past few years we've been saying Bama, Clemson, and then everybody else. Although, after what we saw from Nick Saban and the Tide last year, it seems like it's still just Bama and everybody else, but obviously Clemson is not far behind. They've made the playoff like 5-6 years in a row. They've won how many championships? Like 2. And they've just recruited in the top 5 every year, constantly winning the ACC like 6 straight years in a row, and they've done incredible. What Dabo has built this program to be is just remarkable. He got hired in 2009 and turned it into a team that's, going to win you 8-9 games a year. They're working on something. But then finally, with a guy like Deshaun Watson, who was the key piece, it started it. And of course, Trevor Lawrence. But now they got DJ Uiagalelei, right? When we make jokes about his name because it might be a little hard to say, the ukulele, whatever. We might make jokes here or there. He's the guy to start. Him and Bryce Young out of Alabama, who's going to start for the Tide next year. We expect these guys to start at least. The top 2 recruits out of California. Clemson got one. Bama got one. But sticking back to Clemson, they got DJ Uiagalelei. And Justin Ross, a key receiver, which thanks a lot for stealing him from the Tide. Clemson really appreciate that. Not really. But he's still a great player, and he works out there. He was out last year due to injury. Last year, I think it was like a torn ACL or whatever, that held him back, and he decided he would come back, obviously, and, it actually was a neck injury, I'm sorry, but it looks like he's rehabbed, and he's getting back on track, can participate this spring. It looks like he has been, and, he'll be back and ready to go, hopefully. That being said, let's get back to looking at the schedules here. So, Clemson last year, it was conference only, but they had like 10 ACC games. And like one extra, I think. They beat Wake Forest, the Citadel, Virginia, Miami, Georgia Tech, and they were doing great. They were killing everybody they played. I mean, they had a 6-point win over Boston College on Halloween last year, but then this is where it got interesting for him. Trevor Lawrence is out due to COVID, right? I guess you couldn't play if you tested positive. So he tests positive. DJ Uiagalelei gets his chance against Notre Dame. He shows up. It goes to double overtime. This was at Notre Dame, by the way. Double overtime. Clemson falls short 47-40. But they run the table. They get Lawrence back, beat Pitt, beat Virginia Tech, and make the ACC title game. They win that and got in the playoffs, to which they would ultimately lose to Ohio State. In the Sugar Bowl, Ohio State goes on to lose to Alabama in the title. And the rest is history, I guess. With that being said, let's go ahead and look at this year's schedule. Obviously, a premier game. Already got the time, the date, and everything set. It'll be a 7:30 kickoff game on ABC against Georgia. And a few months ago, I had Georgia winning it this year, but obviously losing George Pickens holds them back a bit. Could I still see Georgia winning a title this year? Could they be that talented? They finally figured it out with JT Daniels. It could be the year for Kirby. He seems like, at least seems like, the coach for the job at Georgia, right? He seems like he has great knowledge of the game and everything. He's got it going in the right direction. But they got to get past Clemson, which won't be an easy task. And considering we're talking about Clemson, let's put it in their perspective. They got it tough this year with that Georgia game, right? Then it's just cupcakes from there. South Carolina State, Memorial Stadium, right? Georgia Tech, Memorial Stadium, at NC State, home against Boston College. Finally, a bye week on October 9th after the October 2nd matchup with Boston College. Then you got to go to Syracuse, to Pitt, come back home, play Florida State, go to Louisville, play UConn, play Wake Forest, and thank you that it won't be conference only. And even though they might whoop up on South Carolina, can we just take a moment and just soak in the fact that if we get a normal season, we get every traditional rivalry, out of conference rivalries like the Palmetto Bowl with Clemson, South Carolina. I think that's going to be amazing. I really do. And then, of course, assuming they win their division, which 90% chance that they do, they make it on December 4th to the ACC title game in Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the Panthers at Bank of America Stadium. Overall, I think outside of the Georgia game, I mean, it's Clemson. We know what they're capable of doing. That was built this program to consistently, no matter who they lose. Yes, they lost Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, they lost ETN. They lost some O-line, some defensive backs, right? So what? Yeah, that's a tough loss for them. But I have a feeling is DJ going to be as good and talented as Trevor Lawrence? And Clemson fans, bear with me. I mean, this is Trevor Lawrence we're talking about. He's a generational talent. DJ may or may not be as good. He might be just as good. Honestly, I don't know. He looked really good last year when he took over. Even though they lost the game, that dude still put up 40 points on Notre Dame in South Bend. That was incredible to see. I think they're going to be good. I still think Clemson's going to win the ACC. Somehow, some way, unless a team like North Carolina slips up, wins their division, and maybe gets Clemson in that game, because obviously, they, they don't have North Carolina on the schedule, and North Carolina's in the other ACC division. I think Clemson's in the Atlantic. And then North Carolina's in the Coastal. Let me double check here. Yes. See, I knew they weren't in the same division. Yeah, Clemson's in the Atlantic, and then North Carolina is in the Coastal. North Carolina seems like it'll be that kind of team this year. Maybe they could just keep it going. I like Mac Brown. I think he's got a great program. Sam Howell is a terrific quarterback. Going to be one of the top guys to look out for in next year's draft class. But that being said, regardless of who they play in the ACC title game, if they are to win their division, Clemson, which most likely it will be, that will be the case. I think they have a fair chance of winning it, and you'll see them in the playoffs again. But looking at the schedule, Georgia in Charlotte, home of the Carolina Panthers at Bank of America Stadium. That's a neutral site game week 1. I can't wait for it. I'm hyped up. Then they have SC State, Georgia Tech at NC State, Boston College, bye week at Syracuse, at Pitt, Florida State, at Louisville, UConn, Wake Forest, and at South Carolina. Um, is this an easy schedule and a clear-cut path outside of the Georgia game? I think so. Clemson is one of those teams to use a loss as motivation and keep going. Unless something happens and maybe we're overlooking some ACC teams, which I doubt, like, oh, we're overlooking Syracuse or Pitt. No, Clemson is miles ahead of everybody in the ACC, right? They just are. I expect them to win these games. They might have some slip ups. They get Justin Ross back. DJ Uyunglele is going to start. It's going to be a great year for Clemson football. I really think that. Um, I mean, you can pretty much go ahead and guess what I'm about to say here. Do I really need to go game by game? I really don't think so. SC State, you'll win. Georgia Tech, you'll win. NC State, uh, no problem. Boston College, there you go. Bye week October 9th. Syracuse in the Carrier Dome. Now, Syracuse did beat them in 2017, right? And then the following year, whatever. I mean, Syracuse has been tough on Clemson in recent years, right? Uh, Syracuse is one of those teams that can 9 times out of 10 win in their home stadium. They can mess you up on any given Saturday. They just do that. And of course, Pittsburgh, the Panthers. That's the ACC team that always beats a team they're not supposed to beat. Could it be Clemson? Could be. I mean, I honestly, looking at the schedule, there's the Georgia game, and then one of either Syracuse or Pitt that they can lose. But ultimately, I'm just going to give it to you straight. I could see Clemson going 11-1 in 2021 with DJ Uyunglele at quarterback. And of course, I mentioned Justin Ross coming back from injury last season. So, overall, they got it pretty easy. And I say that because they're Clemson, and them and Alabama are the two programs that no matter who they lose on the roster, they have a fair chance of running the table and getting back to work, and they always recruit well. They're always stacked and loaded and ready to go. And considering the fact that we have a normal off season, you got plenty of time, you've had time to prepare. It's just one of those situations like, there's no excuse that Clemson lost. Oh, we lost Trevor Lawrence, ETN, and we lost this guy on defense. We lost our kicker. We lost this or that. I don't want to hear that for them slipping up with 2 games. I could see us slip up the Georgia game, run the table, go 11-1, win the ACC, and potentially make it to the playoff again for the 6th or 7th straight year. It should be very interesting to see what they do. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for a quick Clemson football preview for 2021. I am so pumped up for that Week 1 game. I'm pumped up to see what DJ's going to do, what JT Daniels going to do against Clemson's defense. I think that defense is going to be scary good. They got a lot of talented players. I see 11-1 for Clemson, 1 loss to UGA. They run the table, they win the ACC, and ultimately probably make it back in the playoffs. But I want to leave it up to you, the people. What do you think is going to happen? Is there an ACC team that they need to not overlook? Is there someone I'm forgetting about? Is South Carolina, did they just need a year off? I don't know, but I could see them going 11-1, only loss to the Dogs, Week 1, and they will once again win in Charlotte for the ACC title game. But I love you guys. Hey, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new and you love sports content. I really would appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in today. Like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. And until next time, folks, Ballard Sports Media checking out. Y'all have a great day. Love you guys. God bless. Jesus loves you. And roll tide roll. Woo!